to more of his usual traditional picks, perhaps maybe going back to the Orianna, or maybe sadly into the Corki that hasn't been working out so well.
I do like that Taipei J team. They say, you know, Rocky, we know you like your Callista. It's not happening this time, though, as that's going to get banned out. Again, that's directed at both Golden Feet and Rocky. Rocky, one of the only top laners to actually bring out the champion on the top side of the map, usually as a counter pick. Meanwhile, though, red side Varus ban for Nova, nothing too out of the ordinary, as well as a Wukong ban coming out.
Totally understandable. Once more, Rest did a phenomenal job on towards this Wukong pick. And I think Nova is just trying to dismantle any sort of key 5v5s just so that they would have a bigger chance when it comes to execution on what they decide to do. But, J-Team also removing a key pick from G4.
Yeah, no Orianna in the mid lane this time around, which has been kind of the go-to when it comes to G4's success, especially here in summer, has usually opted in something a little bit more teamfighty control mage-esque instead of going into that kind of scaling late game Corki kind of pickup they've sometimes done. Graves, though, going to be the final ban coming out from Nova, so try and take that one away from Hana. Does mean, though, Aphelios is available, or if Taipei J-Team really want to go for it, this would be a first pick blue side set.
Yeah, it is available normally. Nova decided to allow perhaps that to happen and remove the grades instead, take that away from Hana, and would rather deal with the flexible pick on the opposite side, which set can be played in 4 different lanes now. It's very, very difficult to tell where this is going to go, and Nova in return will also get their own flex pick, which, Volibear hasn't exactly been doing the best in the PCS.
Yeah, the PCS Volibear is... kind of have a blah kind of moment right now because that's currently a 20% win rate on 10 games. A lot of teams here outside of maybe Machi don't utilize this champion to its full effect. They'd rather have it kind of in the split lane instead of trying to dive. That's like the whole point about his ultimate. If you run him in jungle for Ryan, you should be diving that bot lane non-stop, especially when you pair it up something like an Ashe for Golden Feet post level 6.
Yeah, I mean, this is forming up to be a very strong dive, or very heavy aggressive bot lane for Ryan to focus on a little bit. And seeing that that's going to be an Aphelios in the opposite side, if Taipei J-Team does lock this in, there's even more reason why you do want to shut down this bot lane.
No, especially if it's going to be an Aphelios. That's like, that's just a big red target toward this bot lane. Especially now that the fact that you've actually got the Ashe as something looking to neutralize the lane, well, why don't you just try and win the lane overall? Is going to be paired up, though, with a Thresh likely now from Woody, so a rather safe support pickup. Now for Nova, they get to choose their own support, if that's going to be the case. Sometimes we've seen Pop likes to play something like his Braum, or maybe something like a Nautilus or a Leona.
Yeah, because Nova still has no clue what the jungle is going to be. Nova has the option to either play a little bit safer now when it comes to the draft, because having a Thresh in the opposite side, we already saw what happened. The level 1 to level 2 transition is going to be very important, or else, Taipei J-Team could win this again. This is the exact bot lane matchup we saw in the Machi versus HQ game.
And it kind of screams this time around for Nova. You're going to lock in a Leona with an Ashe, level 6 with Volibear. There is no excuse not to be going down toward bot lane to try and shut down this Aphelios. So we'll see whether or not they make a similar move, unlike what we saw from Machi, as they were very hesitant to even pull the trigger, but who knows. As now into our second round of bans is going to be the Echo getting banned out here by Nova. Don't want to see Hana in the jungle with the time rewinder, as well as the LeBlanc going to get locked away from G4.
Makes me wonder whether or not G4 is going on a Syndra pick I already removed the Echo pick that, just as you mentioned, possibly for Hana. As Nesty, he's picked up a couple of traditional mages already in the mid lane back at Spring at the second round robin, so not crossing that out of the list just yet. And in the meantime, removing another top laner, which is that Gangplank against Rest.
Yeah, Rest last time actually they went toe-to-toe here with Nova. Rest had something like I think it was like 37 damage of the team on the Gangplank. It was going up against Rocky and just absolutely destroyed. Do see, though, that the Twisted Fate is going to be banned away, and does mean Rocky ends up going on to this Renekton, which means now Volibear is going to go into the jungle for Ryan. So, all right, Ryan, prove us wrong here on this Volibear. Let us see some action. That's what we want to see. What does Taipei J team want to try and round out the composition with?
Yeah, Nova is forming to have a very strong early to mid game, especially if you do have this Renekton serve as a buffer. Oh my,
so
Karthus
we got ourselves
in the jungle.
Karthus finally making an appearance here in summer. Again, we are, I believe, on 10.13, which I think that's when he had the buffs come through. Have to double check. I do believe it is that. So Karthus making his first appearance back onto the Rift in quite a little bit, as it's been a little while since we've actually had him, since all the way back in early spring, and now Rest also going to be taking likely now the Urgot, and I think that means the set is going to go in mid lane once again for Nesty.
Yeah, I think it matches well. We've seen a lot of set in the mid lane, and it does fit Nesty's playstyle. And for Nova, they're going to be going for that traditional Azir pick for G4. One thing I remember from G4 on the Azir, it ain't pretty. He was camped pretty bad, but looking at least the jungle and mid duo, I don't think there's a lot of kill pressure when it comes to early to mid. So I think G4 is a little bit safe. But if you add Woody into the equation, I think it gets a little bit scarier.
So we'll have to see how that one's going to pan out here. Again, it's again only just recently we've seen a little bit of Karthus. Actually, I feel like we're a patch early for Karthus, to be honest. I thought he gets changes in 10.14 because I looked back on my notes, and yeah, he didn't get buffed in 13. So maybe a little bit of a hint of what's to come out from Taipei J team, as they'll have their first pickup of the Karthus here in summer, as well as an Urgot, which we've only seen come out of Liab's top lane Kanji. So a bit of a mix-up there too for Rest.
Yeah, I like it that, you know, J team has been that team that would always have a lot of interesting picks. If we look back at spring, I believe it was Nesty that picked up the Garen in the mid lane. So, you know, I like this style coming from Taipei J team.
We'll have to see here for both of these squads, their first game of the second half of the double round robin. Taipei J team looking to go 9-1 to finish off week 4 of the PCS summer split. Nova looking to try and get some revenge after losing earlier on in the split. As we go ahead and load on to the Rift for our final game of the night.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And on we go. Ryan also properly already exhibiting his dance moves on the Volibear. Also has the wee woo skin, so you know, it goes just a little bit faster. He likes to think he goes a little bit faster.
That's the illusion, I suppose.
That's the illusion. I hope he's able to break the illusion of the PCS Volibear, because he's now in the jungle on the champion, and we've just not seen it have success at all. I'm interested to see how this Karthus does. Again, we've not seen Karthus since, I think it was like early spring. I'm glad they are doing, you know, crunches in mid lane and G4 has become a bird.
It's very cute. The calm before the storm.
The calm before the storm.
Well, yeah, Karthus, it was last time it was played, and it was played only once, was during spring. It was River in, you know, for PSG Talon, and that lost. They didn't do so well. I believe the opposite team, I don't remember who, took advantage of that and just practically, you know, stormed PSG Talon at that time. But let's see how this is going to go, because there's also Rest in the Urgot pick.
Yeah, we get ourselves an Urgot pick. Also, I believe that is the, is that the Star Guardian cosplay? Urgot. First time getting to see that one out in action as well. Yeah, because considering the Urgot, we've only seen come out of Liab twice, and it's been had the one good game. Now, to be fair, I think the rest of Liap themselves were having a good game, let's be frank. But the other times, it was rather lackluster. It actually got counterpicked by Rocky in the top lane, by the way, when he ran the Callista. So maybe that's just, you know, Taipei J team screaming, hey, you know, we were going to try something a little bit new in this top lane. And unfortunately for Hana, he is spotted out by a ward, and some early vision being laid down by G4 is going to be able to track him.
Yeah, going back at top side, you know, Rocky on this Renekton. Normally, Renekton has a very weak, you know, level 1 to 2. And for rest, he'll be very happy trying to chunk Rocky down a little bit. But has to be a little bit careful, I suppose, and watch out for any sort of Ryan skanks for topside, just in case Nova will go to the usual strategy of having to take advantage of topside control instead.
Yeah, but they're already running that Azir in mid lane too, which kind of screams the scaling game once again from Nova, which we've had our reservations about. It's been a little lackluster when it gets picked up, but they will try and turn around, and I think it is going to depend on how Ryan performs from the jungle. We have mentioned before that Nova's performance heavily relies on Ryan making an impact in one of these lanes, either the side lane or top lane, as usually G4 is pretty comfortable himself, and this matchup too, I don't think there's a whole lot of threat coming out from Nestea either.
Yeah, absolutely. And normally, when you pair that with a set, you'd have to fear whoever is paired in the jungle, but as a Karthus, normally you just have to watch for your HP levels. If you're going to be in kill range of that Requiem, that's what you have to worry about, and I don't think there's a lot of threat. I'd be actually a little bit worried for top side and as well as bot more than anything else.
Well, for now, all the lanes pretty quiet. We're not going to see a whole lot of ganking action from Hana until, you know, he's going to be trying to power farm away in the jungle, maybe try and find an opportunity if someone is a little bit over push, but it's more or less call-outs, and I think we're going to have ourselves a rather calm lane phase until maybe level 6, as Pop wanted to go for a Zenith Blade on Woody, but instantly knocked away by the Flame.
Yeah, job well done. Again, both of these laners will be hoping to scale comfortably. Just as you mentioned, it's gonna be a very quiet game up until the first Rift Herald, if one team decides to contest. But when it comes to the, I suppose, the mid lane and then support jungle synergy, it seems to me it's just very insanely hard. I feel like if Nestea is going to be a little bit extended, which I highly doubt because G4 has been poking Nestea out of his lane for quite a while.
Yeah, and G4 is also going for a much more team fight-esque setup, as he's already opting in for lethal tempo instead of going like the Meteor, which we sometimes see for mainly playing in lane. Instead, opting in for, again, that extra little bit of attack speed that will be available during some of those team fights in around the pits, especially around Baron as well as Dragon later as this game goes. There's some opportunity there as Rocky very close to taking down a plate there, just underneath tower, not afraid to jump in as Rest really wants to go back to base, starting to run out of mana, but does have the teleport to get himself back into the lane.
I'm excited how this is going to pan out because, again, the first Karthus we had in spring didn't work out so well. Nova just has to make sure that they keep themselves healthy, but as the game progresses, Karthus is going to be insanely strong. You're going to have to be zoned out by Hana's Qs. Even if Hana's going to be dying, there's a lot of squishy members on the side of Nova that will have to suffer from such immense damage from this Karthus later on. So therefore, hopefully Nova is able to either get their carries ahead, their picks ahead, especially come Rocky using the Renekton as a buffer usually. Having perhaps 2 early game picks would definitely be enough to be effective. And seems to me Nova is comfortable to get this dragon since they do have priority over their lane so far.
Lots of pings, though, coming out here. Nova realizing, all right, they might try and do something toward the top side of the map. Some vision actually laid down early by Taipei J team does spot this out. So they have an idea what's going on. But with that first dragon of the game taken here by Nova, as G4 did have to give up a little bit of pressure there in mid and almost a plate taken actually by Nestea.
You'll still be able to keep the CS lead off against Nestea for sure. But now I see Hana roaming the jungle of Nova, actually stealing that red buff. And I don't think they've spotted this out, but we see a couple of pings from Ryan to take that red buff away, or possibly just the Raptors.
Well, kind of realizing that the Karthus hasn't cleared out his Raptors pretty much on spawn kind of gives them an idea of that, yeah, your topside jungle's been invaded. Rocky actually just passes over and says, hey, I spotted out. And there's even deep vision that's come out from Taipei J team that Rocky isn't actually going to clear out. So they have an idea where this Volibear was, but it looks like Ryan, instead of just trying to, wait for that red buff to come back, decides, all right, going to leave one Raptor and go straight on over to blue and give that possibly to G4.
Yeah, gonna delay the respawn of the next Raptor for Hana, so at least that's something that Ryan can do. But yes, he does lose that big red buff away from him. And yeah, so far, if I'm looking at the fights later on for at least Rift Herald, I'm guessing that's going to be the first fight. They have to, again, be careful about tanking too much from objectives, especially come Baron, because at around that time, Requiem is going to be dealing a huge amount of damage. Lil V most likely will have his Runen, so that's a lot of AoE to deal with for Nova, considering that, again, they've got so many squishy targets. But yes, because Taipei J team will have to scale a little bit more, especially with this Karthus pick. They don't have to fight the early objectives.
Yeah, and speaking of early objectives, there you go. It's going to be the Rift Herald started up by Nova, as well as bringing over Golden Feet, as he has hit level 6. A little bit more impact than Aphelios when it comes to the team fight, especially around a skirmish, and there you go. Nova will have that in their back pocket, get some plating, as well as just pop Shelly immediately, and they say, all right, you know what, we want Golden Feet to come online right away. Rest is going to try and do his best to clear out the wave, but already some decent plating gold going back on over to this Ashe.
Yeah, it's a good exchange, considering that Lil V is also able to pick up a couple, actually 2 early plates for himself. So Nova doing their best to try and equalize, even getting a little bit of lead. But gold-wise, still pretty even as the lanes go so far.
Taking a look back, we were kind of wondering, how Rocky doing into this Urgot matchup, or how Rest is actually just doing the matchup in general. Had himself a small CS advantage, but Turret has been pressured in quite a bit because of the lane swap. Nest team maybe looking for a roam. Looking to just get some vision on down. This is... we had the Azir locked in. I don't know what we expected elsewise. I expected maybe some action from Ryan, Golden Feet. You have like a good combo with like the Volibear Ashe. Try and shut down this, this Aphelios early. Instead, G4 is the one that's going to get caught out, and that's first blood going on over to the Karthus, and that is not the start Nova are looking for.
I stand corrected. I actually thought, G4 is going to be safe in his own lane, but especially if Nesty has that showstopper, is able to bridge that gap, take that delivery towards the Karthus into the pool of AoE, and it's just going to be easy pickings in the mid lane.
Meanwhile, Golden Feet, ooh, just pops the arrow, but not actually going to be able to land onto Lil V or Woody. It doesn't look like he'll be able to do much, as Woody had the Lantern, so it's going to be an ultimate down, and a missed opportunity coming out there from Nova. And first blood onto a Karthus that, honestly, I was not expecting to see a whole lot of action from until he was power farmed up, but he's already now ahead of Ryan by a decent amount. Has the first blood bonus, already got the Runic Echoes, and actually very well on track considering he's already picked up Sork Food, so this Karthus is going to get scary sooner than later.
Yeah, the Karthus is going to get scarier, and Nova will definitely not be able to deal with that, because both of Karthus and Aphelios later on towards the game will deal a huge input of damage, and therefore, whether you want to build defensively against AD or AP, it will be absolutely tough, because Hana or Lil V will be able to compensate from whatever Nova decides to build and decide. G4, I'm afraid of your pathing going back.
He was a little hesitant himself, Woody. Puts out a Death Sentence, not going to connect there, as Hana was able to actually throw down the wall, but still those looks like Nova are going to be the ones that are able to at least secure Scuttle. And we'll see whether or not they actually want to go ahead and start up this dragon, as they're maybe looking for just the push here in mid lane to try and force G4 away from the fight, as that's one of your main big team fight players when it comes to the side of Nova. Hook gonna land immediately onto Rocky, and he gets cut on back, and there you go, Showstopper comes on through, and Rocky able to survive a little longer, and he gets himself back over to safety. In comes the Requiem from the Karthus as Desti picks himself up a kill. Cold Feet wants to come back on over. G4 with a big Emperor's Divide, but it's a little bit too late. Cold Feet trying to kite back. It's not going to be enough, though. The Aphelios gets taken down. Double kill to the Karthus, and that is going to be a ace coming through for Taipei J-Team at the cost of only Lil V.
Rocky was hoping to get a full, like a big chunk of heal and combo, but unfortunately that death sentence prevented any of that for another possible exchange kill on whoever was low at the time. And again, the Requiem is a big deal. That first death sentence from Woody was a big deal because, again, we keep mentioning Rocky on this Renekton will serve as that bridge to at least neutralize or eliminate key targets that are in the back line, acting as that flanker. But he was immediately got picked off. G4 had a good Shurima divide, but unfortunately it was too late. Everyone else was already fallen down.
And to quote a friend of mine, Ender, back over in Lek, this is looking a little doomed already for Nova, as you've now got a Karthus with 100% kill participation on 6 kills. 3 of them have been secured by him. Karthus only gets stronger as the game goes in most cases until the super late game, which he maxes out, but he's still going to be doing tons of damage because he has a Dark Harvest as well. And the options here for Nova are starting to get a little bit limited. They need to start trying to make plays happen. Ryan's just been farming in his jungle. Guess what? Karthus power farming does a little bit more than a Volibear power farming. Just saying, he's already up 2 levels on Ryan.
Exactly, because whether you live or you're dead, Hana is able to create a lot of impact, and now Nova is deciding, okay, let's interrupt this power farmer while he's on his wolves.
And the wolves are gone. A little late to the party. There's enough vision now that also Pop is going to get hooked out. Yes, it is. Descent's going to come on over the wall. Hana is nearby himself. In comes the Showstopper onto Ryan. Ryan has really nowhere left to go. He'll just get taken on down. Pop in his stasis with the Zenith Blade. But guess what? Nova, you've already lost 2 of your members, your 2 frontline tanks. And like that, Taipei J-Team clean house once again in the river.
It's very telegraphed to the point that it's very easy to execute. You've got the Showstopper into the Karthus AoE, and then you've got the Moonlight Vigil for the Aphelios, and it's just a very easy wombo combo where, again, if you get the prime suspects, or rather the prime targets, they're all very squishy, and you're able to eliminate them in one skill cycle.
And unfortunately there, it looks like, did G4 also get hooked out? Yes, he did. Woody had an idea where he was, and now that's going to be poor G4. Not taken down, but maybe a little bit scared. With that too, Rift Herald secured. Hana has that in his back pocket. This is getting very, very concerning if you are a Nova Esports fan. Now the fact that they have a 4,500 gold lead on the side of J-Team, as well as first break onto the Aphelios.
Yeah, it's starting to not look very pretty. That's a 404 Karthus right now with Hana. Again, Nova wanted to threaten Hana a little bit on his farming routine, but unfortunately there's a ton of vision to try and counter any sort of attempt whatsoever, and J-Team has the capability of punishing that, just as we've seen in that Rift Herald River.
And G4's decided to go back into his natural habitat when it comes to him playing either the Azir or Corki. The side lane. Just split pushing, farming back up. Can't really stay in his lane as now the rest of Taipei J-Team have decided they're going to occupy the midsection of the map. 90 seconds on the cloud. Drake as well. Ryan, cool, you smited rest. Okay.
He's spamming the cute emote there, the zombie. I don't know, the Earth emote.
I think Ryan right now is not in a happy mood. I'm going to be frank. I'd be a little annoyed if, you know, you're a Volibear that's been trying to power farm and you're still down 2 levels to a Karthus.
Yeah, every single fight, you know, Taipei J-Team always had that edge. They had the set.
You had the option to go for a dive. Meanwhile, Rift Herald, though, is going to be popped in mid lane. Sure, Rest is going to get taken on down, but guess what? The rest of the action is going to happen here in mid, as that's going to be first tower taken, and that's going to open up the mid section of the map. So you trade a kill for a tower and a kill, at least, for Nova, but second charge going to come out of Shelly and at least gets that down to half health.
Yeah, that's value already on that Rift Herald. And they're not, because of the numbers disadvantage of Nova in the mid lane, that gives room for that second charge at least. But in the meantime, you've got Rocky at least pushing with Ryan for that inner tower at topside.
They just get a little bit of damage. A little bit of damage.
A little bit.
But guess what now? Hana's like, all right, thank you for your jungle. I'm going to continue to just inject gold into this Karthus, as he now sits almost 50 CS above the poor Volibear. And now G4 almost gets comboed, but Hana, he flashes underneath the tower. The Haymaker is enough to finish off G4. 9-2, and Dragon secured by Taipei J team. You know what a Karthus loves? Cooldown reduction for his ultimate. If they're able to get 3 dragons, that's going to be 70% if he has 40 CDR. That is just
nasty. Perfect.
That's nasty.
Nasty and very, very sad for Nova for sure. As we did mention after the draft when we saw G4 locking in that Azir, this is very familiar. It is a very familiar KDA where he struggled a lot on this Azir, as Taipei J team has been taking advantage of how vulnerable an Azir would be in this point of the game.
Yeah, poor G4. He just wants to go farm in a side lane, but it's 0-3. It's not looking too good. And now Lil V2 on this Aphelios. He's been able to quietly just pick up 3 kills, 3 assists during all these fights. The Aphelios is coming online. The late game is screaming golden here on the side of Taipei J team. As at the moment, it just kind of feels like Nova's letting this happen, and it feels very similar to the first matchup we saw between these two teams, where Nova got like 1 kill during an early fight, but otherwise it's just been dominating from the side of J team.
Yeah, for J team, this is a very familiar situation when they first went up against Nova. And looking at the items right now for Taipei J team in the upcoming Rift Herald fight that Nova can possibly try to contest, as there's not a lot of options for them. There's a Crucible for Lil V, and he hasn't been actually using his Flash and Cleanse for the past, I don't know, almost 10 minutes so far. So it's been a very tough.
All right, here you go. In for the flank. Ryan gets on top of Hana, but guess what? That's going to be a Karthus. He doesn't mind if he gets killed immediately. Going to get popped into stasis, gets taken down, and it doesn't look like Taipei J team. Never mind, bring in the Volibear, and Rest is going to be able to find himself a kill. And just like that, Nova have to back off. Sure, you got rid of the Karthus. They did get the shutdown at the very least, but still the push comes through for Taipei J team.
That's, you know, it's the little victories that count, at least for Nova. They're able to execute it well, but just as you mentioned, Hana is still able to create impact despite his death and is able to buy some time with that stasis. And yes, that's the sad part about having an Urgot and as well as the Karthus in the match. They're able to finish off targets where the Requiem wasn't able to do so. And for Nova, they're going to take that shutdown, cash in at least, for like against Hana earlier.
I'm actually shocked there that Lil V decided not to ult with the Moonlight Vigil, considering he had Flamethrower and everyone is grouped up underneath the tower. So for Nova, it could have went a lot worse. A trade of 1-for-1, did lose a tower. So in the end, if you're Taipei J team, I think you're still favoring that, considering Hana still gets gold onto this Karthus. Has now finished off his Morellos too, instead of going Leandries. I see how it is.
For Nova, at least, they're able to pop the Cleanse and as well as the stopwatch of Hana. So that's going to give them a little bit of time, at least when Nova decides to pull the trigger. Unfortunately, they are going to be very heavily reliant on Pop to do that heavy, reliable engage as the Leona. If the Solar Flare, if the Zenith Blade doesn't work out, then unfortunately they have to back away and not risk it too much and be greedy.
So now for Nova, oh, they might be able to actually
Nasty.
spot out Nasty as he's got out toward the side. In comes the shield, though, from the Haymaker. Ooh, Dessins almost lands on the Golden Feet. Which, if we take a look back toward this Ashe, you now have the Runans completed as well as the Bork. Not too bad. Orion really wanted to start walking over there toward Hana. He puts down the wall and says, no, bad bear, turn off the wee-woo, go off back to your base. Cloud Soul, though, going to be not available for Taipei J-Team on this spawn, but 50 seconds if they want to take their third Drake.
It's really insanely hard. Oh, hold up. Okay,
Pop,
never mind.
Pop just kind of tags him with the ultimate. Lil V, you know, Nerves of Steel. Not even a Crucible being used there by Woody, as there was no engage to follow up. Just trying to hope they might get a Summoner, I guess, out of that Aphelios.
Yeah, possibly, as the Solar Flare is, at this point of the game, quite on a very short cooldown already. So that's the reason why.
This
Red's still popping out the emotes.
The Dragon, not going to be taken, but the Baron is actually going to be occupied, and Taipei J-Team can actually take this rather fast. There comes in the Enchanted Crystal Arrow into the Zenith Blade from Pop, trying to jump on in. Woody goes down pretty low, but in comes that Moonlight Vigil, and still Lil V on the front line. Untouched this entire fight, flashing on in. G4 going to get feared. In comes the Karthus ultimate while they're on it. And even that does not find a single kill. Golden Feet stuck in between a tower and a hard place at this point. Nesty is just going to try and hunt him down, flashing on forward. Gives him the 1-2. Let's see, Golden Feet try to cut it back. No, Haymaker puts them in his place. And that is going to be 4 members of Nova taken down for the price of none, and a Baron secured for Taipei J-Team.
Yeah, they got so much red. They've got Hana on this Karthus. They've got Lil VSL on towards that Aphelios. And J-Team has conquered the whole map. They have so much room. They are in such a big lead to the point that they can take 2 objectives at a time confidently. And unfortunately for Nova, as the game progresses, there's not a lot of options so far, considering Taipei J-Team had a humongous lead for every single lane.
Yeah, and unfortunately from here, like, there's not a whole lot you can do. The fact that Woody doesn't even get blown up, and then Lil V just flashing in with no fear of getting turned upon kind of speaks wonders for how this game is going currently for Nova.
Yeah, Nesty too. You know, Dead Man's played Speedy and Warmogs too. That's the reason why Nesty is insanely brave entering these fights. And Nova has has to rely heavily on towards Golden Feet, but I'm afraid there's just too much to handle.
And now with Baron buff, a 10,000 gold lead at 24 minutes. Unfortunately here for Nova, the late game has already arrived on the side of Taipei J-Team, which is a scary thought. You have 3 items onto your Aphelios as well as boots. 3 items completed on your top lane as well as your jungle with Hana. It's going to take a bit of a miracle here for Nova to come back in this game. You need a misstep, multiple missteps for Taipei J-Team. And this kind of just goes in line with what we have seen from Nova so far during the summer split when they try and play compositions like this that require scaling instead of trying to be proactive, aggressive in the early game.
Yeah, it seems that Nova still unable to adjust still in that sort of strategy and approach in the game, as Spring, most of the time, again, it's all about that top side control, getting Rocky to 2 kills, funneling that Rift Herald, and making sure that all the plates go to Rocky. But at this point, again, with the addition to Golden Feet, they can be flexible with how they're going to be playing their games. But so far, it's still an adjusting period, I suppose.
And with that, mid lane inhibitor is going to be falling here in 1 shot from that cannon minion. And now enter into the base. They say hello if you're on the side of Taipei J-Team, Lil V.
Here we go.
Not even going to be the main target. Sure, they get Woody, but guess what? You use so much to take down a Thresh that the rest of the team says, thank you very much. The Infurium just burns with the Moonlight Vigil. In comes the Karthus ultimate. All 3 of them get shut down with a quadra kill from Hana, the ace for Taipei J-Team.
My oh my, there's just a lot going on there, but it's just such overwhelming strength for J-Team over Nova.
And just like that, Hana stamps out Nova in epic fashion. The quadra kill coming out from the Karthus. The ace runs through, the damage numbers are high, and Taipei J Team finish off the week with their first win heading into the second round robin.
And it looks like for Taipei J Team, it's just another day at work for them. But yeah, I'm very happy with that pickup, with that Karthus pickup. Imagine it was only picked once in spring. Now it's picked up again, but it ended with a victory this time around.
Yeah, and it looked very similar to the match we saw earlier in the split between these two rosters. Unfortunately, the scaling via mid lane just doesn't seem to be a win condition that Nova can actually achieve, and I think they were just cut off guard by this draft.
Yeah, sadly. I mean, for me, for Nova, they always have to be prepared on how strong J Team's mid game is, I suppose. And I feel like Nova still wanted to bank and perhaps practice a little bit still on that late game scaling composition, but unfortunately still hasn't worked out, at least against, Taipei J Team.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, just J Team looking pretty clean. Obviously, this is your currently top of the standings team, 9-1 now, after, only dropping one game in the first half of the regular season. For Nova, still got some work to do, obviously. Still kind of a mid-pack team, which they're tied up with Hong Kong Attitude and Alpha, but let's take a look back at some of the team fights throughout the course of this game.
Yeah, there was a lot of action so far, and it all started here with that hook coming from Woody. And again, Rocky was supposed to be that buffer as that Renekton to deal with any of the squishy targets and just ruining and making chaos in the backline, but he was the one who got tagged first. He was the one who had to tap out first, and therefore no one had any sort of chance. The next one in line would be Ryan, but he had a difficult time, of course, having to catch up against a Karthus.
And the engages from the set were a bit disgusting, so why not give it on over to Nesty, as he's going to be our MVP for Taipei J Team.
Yeah, I love the wombos. I love the combos coming from J Team's composition. Having that showstopper in delivery towards the Karthus' AoE. And yeah, it worked really well. Nesty had a very, very fun lane, actually.
Yeah, it felt like he wasn't really abused or anything. It was just a simple back and forth and an easy follow-up coming out from Hana. So congratulations again over to Taipei J Team as they're able to find the victory. And we're going to go on over to the Karthus himself. Hana, we're going to interview with Patty.
是第一次拿出死哥打野，在对面其实提前先亮出了鳄鱼啊，或者是弗利贝尔，那你为什么会选择死哥来打野呢？
Okay, so this is the first time that you use Karthus as a jungle in the regular season. Why did you choose Karthus in the jungle when you see your opponent chose Volibear and Renekton early on?
因为我们首选是赛特嘛，然后他们的阵容选起来的话，我们那时候在考虑赛特要去哪个位置，然后因为那时候觉得赛特的中路是最好的，那时候我必须得补 AP 打野，因为我们阵容是完全没有 AP 的，然后那时候赛特对面的中野不能对他怎样，所以我觉得这样是最好的。
So we first picked Zed, and we're thinking about where to put Zed, maybe in mid. So when we decide that, we saw that our team comp lacks AP, so that's why we chose a jungle champion that is good with AP.
那我稍微补充一个问题哦，就是在10.14的时候，其实死哥有受到一个增强。那你自己觉得在现在你们比赛的10.13版本，他就已经有在比赛当中被选取的价值了吗？
So we know that in the 10.14 patch, Karthus is buffed. And do you think that we can use it in the 10.13 patch too with Karthus?
因为就是 AD 打野那个流行太久了，然后现在都砍弱了嘛，现在 AP 打野会比较强，因为中上可以出双斗士，对面上路跟中路比较难出装备。
So I think the AD jungler champions have been nerfed and AP champions have been buffed. So I think we can definitely use that and use some good items with it. We can definitely use that in the 10.13 patch.
OK， 那紧接着想要问的就是，我们都知道雀巢，大家都知道他是加里欧的 King， 但是今天这场比赛，你们为什么会让这个赛特变成雀巢首选呢？
So we all know that when Taipei J Team is playing, 80% of the time you guys are going to use Nesty is going to pick Galio in the mid lane, but today you guys chose Zed in the mid. So why did you guys make that change?
主要是你选角选错了的话，对面 BP 比较难做，因为赛特可以去4个位置嘛，就像卡玛一样，然后 那时候对面的中野没有伤害，然后赛特中路配 AP 打野的话，团战也好，或是前面的几个碰撞也好，都是比较强的。
So we all know that Zed you can use it in a lot of lanes, 4 different lanes. So we use that as a ban pick strategy. So our opponent will not know where we're going to put Zed, and because Zed is really good in the mid lane for this game, so that's why we chose Zed in mid.
好的，那当然也恭喜你们，你有想
我最后想要补充一个问题，就是你们在下个礼拜要对上 HQ 了，不能问是不是？
Oh, and there you go. Over on the side there, feeling like, hey, some of these AP champs might be actually being able to come back into the jungle as far as meta goes. So, again, congratulations over to Taipei J team as well as Hana, who had himself a epic performance over on the Karthus, as well as the rest of the squad.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. You know, they mentioned about, maybe using a little bit more of the AP champ pool, which means a lot of the mid laners would have to adjust, I suppose, on having to switch dynamics here and there, and it's all about who will be able to adjust better. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, again, there's some flexibility that kind of comes out with that, so we'll have to see, again, how things transpire. Of course, I do believe we shift on over, though, to 10.14 next week, so we should be able to see a couple new faces kind of join in onto the Rift, depending on the nerfs and buffs that we do see for those champions. And hopefully Taipei J team can keep surprising us, and, more champions that they show during the regular season, the harder it is to ban them out, especially considering, Nesty can play pretty much anything in the mid lane, it seems now. Utility, even a carry for himself. Now Hana, able to bring out more. Let's go ahead and take a look at a graphic for our schedule for today. A quick recap if you guys ended up missing anything. Of course, started off the day with Resurgence versus PSG. PSG were able to take that heavy-handedly, and it was the blue side wave coming through with AHQ, Alpha, Rajaya, all picking up victories. Machi taking down AHQ then later on, and like you just saw, Taipei J team taking down Nova Esports.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yesterday was the reign of the red side teams, and now it's a different story, except for our first matchup. And yeah, I'm excited to see, considering the fact that we've already began our, second round robin.
Yeah, halfway through the regular season when it comes to summer. And as you guys can see, top of the table still is Taipei J team. Then we have PSG just below them, tied up though with AHQ and Machi. So it's that big three, but then there's someone above them, which kind of makes it up into the big four. So anything can happen come playoffs possibly, but it's still a little while before we get our hands into that. And then of course at the bottom of the table, unfortunately, Resurgence not able to find a second win when it came to week 4. Liab able to find the victory over Resurgence, but that was pretty much it when it came to their run here in week 4 themselves.
Yeah, the second round robin has already began. Like, even though there's still a couple of games already still yet to be played, of course, for the LST fans out there, it's a little bit scary for the bottom 3 teams, I suppose.
It's a little tragic, because right now you take a look and all 6 of our top 6 teams are, unfortunately, if you're an LST fan, all former LMS, with only Nova just kind of squeezing in there in between them and Rajaya. Let's take a look, though, toward our matches next week, and if you are a Leah fan, you get yourself a treat as they play 2 matches, one against Alpha, one against PSG, who they themselves will have a matchup against Machi, being a rematch of our spring final. Then we also have Taipei J team taking on HKA, so some good matches across the board coming up for our first day heading on to next week. But for us, that is going to be the end of our broadcast here during week 4. If you guys enjoyed either much of the show or even the cast, be sure to follow the socials below. You can also type in !casters if you're over on Twitch. Link you guys directly over to our socials. And if you guys enjoyed the PCS at all, be sure to follow the page, whether you're on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, or wanting to join us from one of our TV partners. Thank you guys for tuning on in. And if you guys want English content, you guys can also follow the LOL Esports PCS Twitter for all the information from the league. From myself and the rest of the production team over in Taipei and here at the Tai Studio, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys. Whew. Oh my lord. Next week. There's too much, Riku. There's just too much to say.